So, REV and Tetrix are the two groups of parts that we use the most. Maybe in the future you might pick up a different part like Gobilda, but we don't use them right now, and primarily we're using Tetrix with mix of REV. Here we'll have some examples of differences in the parts. Here's a Tetrix gear and a REV gear. REV gears tend to be plasticky, you know. These are more mesh gears, supposed to mesh with each other. These are mesh gears, by the way. They're supposed to touch. And here's a Tetrix version. Here is REV wheel, Tetrix wheel. Again, just bigger, more annoying. These ones are usually smaller. We don't usually use these wheels. We only really use them on the mini belts and stuff, though, so don't worry about those too much. Here are some of the worst examples I can bring you of a Tetrix motor and a REV motor. So this is pretty damn advanced. These guys can be accompanied by a gearbox, so you can set the gear ratio. Anybody don't know what a gear ratio is? These guys are a little less advanced. They actually suck, and you'll pretty much never use this unless you're doing like mini bots or something that requires literally no power at all. Like these guys suck. If you're using Tetrix motors, it's usually going to be a tornado, which are the ones with like the little blue caps at the end. And with REV, you're usually using a REV core hex motor. Well, actually, no, this is the core hex. Usually using the other types of REV motors, but I don't have it assembled to show you. And I just grabbed some random pieces. Here's a Tetrix. Normally, Tetrix will have this kind of grid type pattern where you have a bunch of screw holes. So, here is a Tetrix screw. Tetrix screws are used with the XD Allen keys. They have a little hole inside of them so you can screw them in. Tetrix screw, they have their rounded tops. Here's a Tetrix nut. Again, they have the spiky bits on them. They're bigger, and they will only fit with the Tetrix. REV screw. REV screw, flat heads. These you need the socket wrenches or a literal wrench to screw in. They are more annoying to me because they're not as easy to just use with your hands. You actually need to use tools if you're putting these on properly. Usually you're going to be using Tetrix screws probably if you're maining with Tetrix parts. And I will say this now, try not to cross between Tetrix and REV parts. They are compatible to an extent, but of course they are two different companies. They are not meant to be compatible with each other, but they do work. So when you're using a lot of REV parts, you see this a lot more plastic with REV. Try to stay away from using Tetrix screws because Tetrix screws will just strip everything and it'll be annoying. You can't use those parts anymore. Same with REV. REV screws don't really fit very well in Tetrix parts, so I can use this in here. But again, best practice to just avoid this if you can. If you really need to, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing to do. Like, if this is what you need to do, then do what you need to do. But again, try not to mesh them as much as you can, especially when it comes to REV servos. So I actually don't know if Tetrix makes servos, or if we have any Tetrix servos. We probably do. And if we do, I apologize because I don't use them. But when it comes to REV servos, do not, under any circumstance, think to use a Tetrix screw first, or Tetrix parts first. Again, REV is plastic, and once it breaks, it's pretty much broken and cannot be fixed again. So if you're going to be using REV servos and REV parts, please use REV screws. If you're meshing that to a Tetrix base, then just be careful on what you're meshing with what, because things will be stripped, or it's just going to, fuck up everything, and you can't really do much about that. Questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay, cool. What else is there?